Are you tired of feeling tired? Are you struggling with vitality? Or does your body just not feel great? Join today's hosts Monique Bradley and registered naturopath Lynette Hill to talk about your health. It's Health Bites, bite-sized pieces of health and wellness information so you can own your health. Well, kia ora koutou, welcome to the YourFixTV studios. I'm Monique Bradley. Hopefully we've got sound now, hopefully. And this is Lynette Hill, my co-host. She is in fact a natural medicine advocate and a clinical, is that the right term? A clinical naturopath? I'm trying to say the right word. A registered naturopath with My Remedy. How are you feeling this week?
Well, I was pretty good, but that was a little bit stressful with no sound, but I've relaxed already. I'm good. I've had a huge week and a seminar for 2 days this weekend, so a little bit tired, but feeling good.
Excellent, good to hear. Now, this week we are talking about the effects of stress and anxiety and exhaustion and fatigue in our lives. And I know chances are, if you're watching this, you might be feeling a little bit like me, a little bit tired, maybe you need a little pep up in your energy. Sadly, the effects of stress and fatigue and exhaustion are too common in our lives. And that's been the focus of the last two shows we've had here with Health Bites. And we want you to be part of that conversation. So if anything resonates with you tonight while we're chatting, and we do have some wonderful guests in the studio, please feel free in the news feed to send in your questions and be part of that conversation. So I just want to check while you're there, can everybody hear me? If you can, please send in some hearts and some thumbs to let us know that the sound is getting through. And two, if you've got friends or family, we've got a big focus on men tonight as well. Yes. So if you've got men in your home or men who need to hear about tonight's show and how to deal with the effects of stress, tag them in, share this video and get as many people as possible because we've got some amazing nuggets for you to take away tonight. So, Lynette, I got some big questions for you tonight. The mind-body connection is part of what we're chatting about.
Right.
Is it real or is it all in our head?
It's both.
Perfect. Excellent. So we're seeing a lot of people who are talking online about the effects of stress in the workplace. Again, is this all in our head? Is this a real thing? What's going on in the workplace?
Well, if it's happening to you, it's real. So if you are in the workplace and it's a stressful place, you don't want to be there, there's bullying or something's going on, you're exhausted because you're not sleeping, you're stressed. So that's real, that's a reality. You may be, when you're stressed or particularly if you're fatigued, you may be reacting to the stress or seeing more stress than is there. But at the end of the day, if you're feeling it and it's impacting your body, your mind and your body, it is real stress.
And unfortunately, I have to say, we have some excellent data about this because it is becoming all too common. In fact, I've had people approaching me over the weekend saying the effects of their work-life balance, the effects of stress in the workplace is really starting to impact on their health. Is this becoming more common?
It's really common, and I think we talked last week about the hyper-driven society. So as we are, doing more and more, and you can take, energy drinks, so you can do even more, and who needs to sleep because we can have coffee and you can do more. So we're getting to the point where we're pushing ourselves really far beyond what we should be doing. We're using our gas tank of adrenaline instead of just reacting to protect ourselves or to use in an emergency situation. We're using that as our go-to to get up in the morning. So stress is becoming quite a big issue and a huge topic. And
we're seeing more of this in social media, the amount of people that are messaging us throughout the week. Unfortunately, it is becoming too common. So I want to find out and delve a little more into this topic of the role that your mind and your behaviour has on your wellness. Again, is this just something we're imagining or is this a real thing?
Well, I always say to people, how does your stress affect you? So in clinic, how does it affect you? Or do you know what your stress is and what do you do with your stress? So for me, I quite like stress and I'm quite stressful to live with as well, I've been told. So stress and I get on very well. But if it was impacting my sleep, so I couldn't switch off at night or I couldn't stay asleep or I got so stressed about something and I felt it in my stomach or Monique's favourite topic. I got so stressed I got diarrhoea.
I did.
We said it. That has to be said in every show, apparently.
Yeah.
Then it is actually having a serious impact on my life. And there are people who are stressed by tiny things, and it may seem tiny to someone else, but to them, going outside is a stress. Hearing the telephone ring, going into a meeting, so, you know, at school, all sorts of things.
And more emails in your inbox.
Absolutely.
That's a big one that a number of my colleagues and friends complain about all the time. They open up their inbox and there's 200 messages unanswered.
Yeah.
I mean, even that.
That got me.
That made my stomach churn. Now, if you are watching and that's starting to resonate with you, if you've got any questions tonight, we have 3 amazing health experts and coaches that can answer your questions. So feel free to send your questions in. It's so lovely to see people from around the world. Cynthia Louise, who's watching from Bali. Great to see you. Bronya Tyndall, who is watching from Italy as well. Thank you, guys. And everybody watching from here in New Zealand, it's wonderful to have you as part of the conversation. Now, Lynette, I read in something you'd written, it might have been a social post or a blog, this amazing quote, "How you tick can make you sick." Absolutely. Can you just explain this to the viewers? Because that really intrigued me.
Okay, so I'm a naturopath. Most people here know me for that, but I'm also a homeopath, and I work with another excellent homeopath. And for quite a few years I worked strictly naturopathically, so I would be taking a case and what's going on and what are you eating and all of this sort of stuff, and work with people, and their gut would be looking great and their vitamin C levels were up and they were doing poos and wees, and physically everything was really, really good, so excellent. And they'd come back and say, oh, things have gone a bit wobbly. And I'd say, well, what's going on? And it was often a situation, or it was a self-worth feeling. And I would look at them and go, you know what, I think we need to talk about the situation, because no more vitamin C is going to heal your self-worth, or no gut healing is going to help you deal with that social situation. So that's where we're saying, you know, how you tick can make you sick. If you've got the stuff going on in your deepest, darkest places, it's going to affect your physical body eventually.
Now, a really interesting comment come in from Chef Cynthia Louise. Now, she's actually an internationally acclaimed raw food chef, and I'm honoured to have you watching tonight's show, Cynthia. Now, she's just said food stress is obviously a big one. And in the first shows, we talked about that brain-gut connection. Is the impact of people eating more processed food impacting on their stress levels and their fatigue?
Well, you know, as a naturopath and as a chef, when I imagine when you are eating food, you're hoping you're going to get something from it. So your dense nutrients and your phytonutrients and your hydration from your water. You know, but if you are eating food that just looks like food, it's food-like stuff that's processed food. You know, shaped like a chicken doesn't make it a chicken. Then our body's still looking. I think it can feel a bit ripped off and cheated. It's like I was looking for some iron, I was looking for some magnesium, I was looking for some vitamins. So I think that aspect means that's totally stressful to your body, because it was empty and it's still empty. But also there's food stress, which I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but if you're eating something that, well, 2 things. If you're so stressed you're not digesting, we've got a problem. And also if you're eating food that upsets you, you know, that is you have an allergy to or an intolerance to, there's also a huge impact on the body physically.
Yeah. Good, really great answer there. Comment in from Raja, who said, I'm really impressed that you guys are going to do some focus on men tonight as well.
Good.
Thanks, Raja. Stick around. We've got some great content coming up. Now, I really want to know about, when it comes to stress levels, you know, what is the effects of the environment? So is it just about our DNA, our genetic makeup, or is it nature versus nurture, or is it a combination of both? Is it our programming coming into play? Are we creating our own stress? What's going on?
And again, it could be all or some of that. So nature versus nurture is a really interesting thing. So we are sort of predisposed to who we're going to be, and you know, there's messages and information coming through our DNA, and that's how we arrive. There can be stresses within the womb. There can be stressful births. There can be stress in the home, and all of those things are going to shape or nurture that nature. So you've got the person who's going to be who they're going to be, but those things come in on top of it. And other environmental things can happen too, totally environmental. Being in a mouldy home is a really big deal. Being in a house where there's too much noise, that's going to shape you. So every sense that goes out there and gets exposed creates a response in the body, and some of that's going to be good stress and negative stress.
Excellent, gotcha. Excellent, a great description. Romina has just messaged in and said, any things you can eat that reduce stress? Such a great question.
Well, I would say chocolate and
wine.
Wine.
No, kidding.
Absolutely. I think if we're really looking at it, I know Amy last week made her little brainy balls, which had lots of good omega oils and fats and things like that in them. You know, brewer's yeast is fantastic. It's a really good source of B vitamins. Having a really good whole food diet loaded with lots of dense nutrients, fresh water to hydrate your brain. Fruit and veggies obviously are always a good thing. You
Just
know.
reminded me to drink more water.
Yeah, drink your water. The basics are there, so I think not too much caffeine, not too many stimulating foods. You know, it's a little bit common sense.
Now, finally, before we move into the next segment, there's a thing called bird with broken wings syndrome. Now, these are the people that we've met over the years who, within the first 2 or 3 minutes of meeting them, you know their complete medical history and you know all of their faults and their failings. Does that come about from some sort of anxiety they're carrying around, or is it a stress going on? And is this fixable?
Oh,
it's such a big one.
That's
because
one.
Somebody has asked me this question through the week in the newsfeed.
So there can be all manner of things going on. That person might just be reaching out saying, hey, I am so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. Help me, help me, help me. Some people are attached to what's going on with them because they know that gives them some attention, and some attention is better than no attention. I mean, look at your children. They just, you know, let's misbehave, at least I get noticed. There can be so many reasons for it. We see it in clinic all the time, though, where a person comes into us and they've got, you know, where do we start?
Wow.
And it's all relevant. It's real stuff, you know. So I think it's a wee bit of a judgment call where it's coming from. I think for me, just as a human being, forget that I'm a naturopath, when someone comes to me with a list of stuff, I really want to know it. But I want to know what they're going to do about that. You know, are you going to see someone? Are you going to change your diet? Are you going to take some advice and let those people actually take you from here to there? Do you actually want to go from here to there? Are you going to be all right when you're there?
And really, that's what these shows are about. We're here to talk about the topic, open up the conversation, and then utilising the expertise of our experts that we have on the couch, provide you with some answers on how you can take steps to find your way to an optimal life and to optimal health. Now, remember though, we've got a disclaimer to share with you on the screen. We are not here to provide a diagnosis for you. We are simply here to open up your health conversation and help you find your way to wellness. It's a really important discussion, and remember, you can invite people to be part of that conversation. Now, if you are suffering the effects of stress and anxiety, and that's becoming bigger than you, if you need some professional help, please consult a professional. That's the thing I would stress to you the most. If you need someone to listen, here's all the contact details here, and somebody is always on the phone ready to lend an ear. Now, Lynette, you were saying earlier, though, if people want to talk to a naturopath and they're out of the Auckland region, because that's where you're based, people can actually do a Skype call with you or one of your team members?
Yep.
And what's involved in that?
Well, all of our team are set up for Skype. Most of them are better with technology than me. So again, there's obviously not going to be a hem of you. If you're wanting a hem of you need to come into the clinic. But it's about taking a full case take of everything about you, your sleep, your stresses, your diet, your lifestyle, what you're taking, what works, what doesn't work, your medical history, and going through that with a practitioner, whether it's a naturopath or a homeopath or the hypnotherapist, go, what's the case, what's going on, and then your naturopath will work to find some solutions for you. Some of it's easy, some of it's hard, and then they will organise a protocol, which is like a treatment plan.
Yes.
So this is what we recommend. Always taking into account medications, that's so important. And then with agreement, we'll make recommendations and provide the supplementation or herbal medicine or homeopathic remedy that's required to make that shift.
Now, to be able to do that, at the end of the show, we will be sharing details of how you can get in contact with the My Remedy team to find out more about how to do that. Miranda Sophie just commented and said, I guess it's tricky because what is good for one is really not great for another. It is so worth being checked by someone like you.
Oh, thanks, Miranda.
Thanks, Miranda. A great comment.
And that's totally true, because I've been asked before, what do I do for this? And what do I take for that? I don't know, because I haven't talked to you deeply enough about where you're at in your journey with stress. So it's highly individualised.
Right, so we are very quickly going to delve into the topic of workplace stress as well. And we will be talking further about this with one of our guests this evening. But I did want to point out, we had a quote come in from one of our colleagues, a lovely lady by the name of Caroline Sanford, who recently shared an article of the effects of job stress on your health. She said stress can adversely affect psychological well-being, physical health, quality of life, as well as close relationships. When you're unhappy in your job or you don't know what to do in your career, the impact on your health can be enormous. And she said the key things she sees when she's working with clients are illness, mental health issues, weight gain, lack of sleep, and negative effects on relationships. There's her web address there at the bottom, loveyourcareer.co.nz. I have to ask you, when people are coming in and they're suffering from the effects of stress, how high on the list is stress in the workplace for them?
It's usually really high, and just going back to the information that you just had about wonderful Caroline, the big stresses are work stress. I'm in a job I'm not happy in.
Right.
I'm with people I'm not happy with, but I don't know what to do. It's all I know how to do. And the other area that I've actually sent many people to Caroline and had just totally amazing feedback. Some of it's personal, I know them very well. That it's teenagers getting towards the end of their...
Of course.
Yeah, what are you going to do when you leave school? And they're like, I don't know. Half of them don't even know why they're at school yet.
Oh, wow.
And they're expected to know 15 years out what they're going to do and how that's going to be and what that even looks like. So Caroline is just, shout out to Caroline.
Yes.
Totally fantastic with helping you find your energy, your interest, and then maybe this would be the direction to look at. So, stress in work is massive, so let's try and be working in something that we love.
So true. Now, if you want to read that full article, it's here on her website. We've got the screen there for you, loveyourcareer.co.nz, and if you head to her blog page, you can read that article. And she shares some really interesting insights. And interestingly enough, men are affected more than women. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, but it does
there
not
you go.
surprise
So
me.
it is worth, and we are talking about that tonight as well, so it is worth heading to her website. Shout out to you, Caroline. Now, aside from going to see a career expert, if you are stuck, there are other options when it comes to dealing with stress and fatigue. You can go and see your naturopath, and you've given me a list here of things like cognitive behavioural therapy. What is that?
So that's a very practical way. I think possibly we can ask one of our guests a wee bit more about that, but it's the practicalities of some tools in my kit. What do I do to work with stress in a better way? So rather than just reacting to it, you know, it might be as simple as when I see that scary person coming towards me in the street, I can run across the road and pretend it's not happening and feel like a failure, or I can go straight past them because I have the skills and the confidence to do that.
And would that be similar to the effects you might get from counselling or psychotherapy?
Yeah, all of them, they're all the same but different, totally different.
Yes.
But there are different levels of training, different ideas, different philosophies, and it's really about getting a wee bit of guidance. And your doctor is a great one. A counsellor is a great one who might say, hey, not me, someone else. A naturopath can often point you to the skill set that's going to work best for you.
Okay, what about the effects of hypnotherapy or and homeopathy as well? Because I know their services offered at your clinic too.
So hypnotherapy is really great for those little people who just keep sabotaging themselves. I just can't stop eating or smoking or turning my brain off, and I keep doing this behaviour and it's actually really stressful and I want to stop. And it's good because it gets you involved. It doesn't get you out of control, it gets you into control by turning down your sort of logical brain and getting right in behind into who you really are. So it's great.
And that helps with the stress and the fatigue
and
absolutely. Anxiety.
Because you stop the behaviours and you don't have to work too hard at it.
Love it.
I always say still get into that counselling and get the core sorted out. And homeopathy works in a slightly different way, and it works with homeopathic medications which are matched to the fear or the behaviour or the emotion. It's a very big topic. I will get a homeopath on here to explain it one day.
Excellent. Now, a question just come in. First of all, Raj just said some attention is better than no attention. So getting somebody to listen is obviously been really great for him with his, but he didn't know this about anxiety. And he said, do you suggest cognitive behavioural therapy, Lynette? Obviously, we've talked about it, so yes. And we're going to talk further into that tonight.
And I do know where you're coming from a little bit from some of your comments from the last show, so it would be a really good place to start to actually be able to express some of your history and your fears, and then have some tools in your kit. You know, this is how I could deal with that next time and feel safer.
Great stuff. Now, if you want to find out more about the My Remedy team, we've got a video coming up for you right now which shows everything they do. And remember, they're only ever a Skype call away. So if you want to chat to somebody, particularly somebody who resonates with you in this video, you can make it happen. Let's take a look right now. Have you ever considered that symptoms are often the outward sign of something deeper and can just be the body's way of saying, help me? The great news is that even small changes from the inside out can affect your whole health outcome. So, are you ready to make positive changes? The team at My Remedy work with you to find solutions for optimal health and can help you with many health challenges. Their team of qualified and registered naturopaths are there to help with any health condition: gut health, skin conditions, adrenal fatigue and immune health, cardiovascular and men's health, and nutritional health. At My Remedy, they also have a registered homeopath and hypnotherapist who are there to help with the deepest challenges to your health, your beliefs, your fears, your habits and behaviours. So if you're ready to create better health for you and your family, try a different approach. Visit myremedy.co.nz or give them a call on 09486 2175. My Remedy. It's your remedy. Well, welcome to the YourFixTV studio. If you've just joined tonight's stream, I'm Monique Bradley and I'm on the couch here with the lovely Lynette Hill from My Remedy, who has also brought another guest into the studio. Welcome to the couch. Would you like to introduce your guest to our viewers?
I would. This lovely lady is Claire Williamson, and she is a friend and colleague of mine. Claire has got a website called Essential Mum, and she's going to explain why the essential, and the mum is probably more obvious. And Claire's just going to talk to us now about her journey with stress and anxiety and just some of the ways that she's learnt to cope.
Welcome to the couch.
Hi, thank you.
So tell us about your story.
Well, I suffered a PTSD way back when, and I guess it really, I mean, that was bad in itself, but as I was recovering from that, it was almost as if I lost all of my coping abilities. The littlest of things would stress me out, and I began feeling this anxiety all the time, almost a nonsensical fear that it sort of got to me to the point where I would hide at home and not want to open the curtains. It was a really bad time, and I didn't know where to reach out, which was one thing.
Which is sadly very common.
Absolutely. I was afraid to share with friends how I was really feeling, because it sounded like a foreign language to me when I was speaking it out, and I didn't want them to think that I was strange or you know, so I just became more and more isolated. And I guess I also was in a workplace that had a lot of high stress, and because of those low coping abilities, just no ability actually to deal with stress, I got to a point of complete burnout. And one day I was in the car driving to my workplace, and I just didn't know how I was ever going to go forward. And I had this fleeting moment where I took the steering wheel and I started to turn it, because there was just this sudden moment where I felt like it was the only way out, and I didn't want to continue feeling the way I was feeling. Thankfully, I don't know if it was just fear or coming to my senses, I stopped, and I just ended up careering off the motorway into the side of the road. And that was a real kick up the butt.
Yeah.
You know, it was a real push for me to actually talk to my husband, well, he wasn't my husband at the time, we're married now, but talk to somebody. At the time I was put on medication, and that didn't work for me, and so I started to look at more holistic ways to manage the anxiety and stress. So I learned about breathing techniques, I learned about the positiveness of being out in the fresh air. And I did start to build some techniques and strategies to manage the stress, and they all were working really well until I had children. And
enter more stress.
Yes, of course.
yeah, and we had a really stressful time with my first daughter. She was born with gut issues that caused a lot of stress, and I found myself not coping again, because the things that I'd learnt, you know, just if you're feeling anxious, drop everything, go for a walk in the fresh air. You can't do that when you've got a baby.
No, of course.
I'd feel crowded by her crying. I'd feel like I couldn't find the space, and that would get the anxiety starting.
Wow.
So all of the techniques that had been working stopped working for me. And again, I started to really spiral into this constant anxiety, and felt very, very stressed out by being a mum in that first year.
Wow. So what coping mechanisms did you put into place to take you from overwhelm into a place of stability, especially with this new level of anxiety coming in with having children?
Yeah, I discovered essential oils. I was lying in bed one night with my daughter, who I was using essential oils at that point quite regularly to help with her discomfort, to help her sleep. And I was lying there, and we had a blend called Serenity from doTERRA running in the diffuser. And I'd had this ball of anxiety in my chest all day, and I lay there and I was breathing in this smell, and it just occurred to me that it was easing away. You know, it was helping me to unwind and relax, and actually, it was really powerful.
What are the key ingredients in Serenity?
Serenity had marjoram, so that's very sedative. It has Roman chamomile, which is very soothing, very calming. It has ylang ylang, which often we use for that whole mood swing to balance. It has vanilla bean, Hawaiian sandalwood, which is extremely grounding. So I guess I went, aha, there could be something in this. So I looked into it further, and I actually discovered that doTERRA have an emotional aromatherapy range. They have mood management oils, and I discovered a blend called Balance, which has frankincense, blue tansy, blue chamomile, osmanthus. And that is what I started to use as I felt anxious. And I felt that it really grounded me. I felt
so you put it in a diffuser, or you pop it on your pulse points?
I actually started using it on my wrist. Yeah. So I put it in, I have my little bag that I started taking everywhere with the oils that I felt helped me, and I put it in a rollable, so you can just roll it straight on your skin.
Wow.
I did see her rolling this before quite liberally.
And you thought it was perfume, but no, it's her own essential
oil blend.
And I started to use it. I would put it on my wrist, and I would breathe it in, and I'd take 3 big, deep belly breaths. So in those moments where it's not appropriate to take the space from a crying baby and all the stresses of motherhood, to sit and do breathing exercises, or take yourself out for a walk outside. When I couldn't do that, I could lean on the oils.
Wonderful.
And it brought me back to center enough to start really thinking about what I needed to be fully well.
That is cool.
Yeah. And then,
so essentially, in this instance, aromatherapy, essentially, the oils themselves, the essential oils are doing, say, what homeopathy might do for our emotions. Is it similar?
It's a little bit different. It's working at a different level, so it's working on a different sense.
Yes, of course. Yeah. But providing you that space to breathe and be calm.
And they work with the limbic part of the brain, which is, it drives our emotions. So it's good. And then, as one of the things that I did after that with Essential Mum, when I started Essential Mum, was trained to be a life coach. And I did this because I wanted to be a life coach to other mums. What I didn't realise actually was that you get coached as part of that process.
Wow.
And that for me has really been a big part, again, of getting to a place where I feel in control, developing strategies, not just for the anxiety and the stress, but also what's causing that anxiety and stress. So for me, it was powerful prioritising, actually taking control of my schedule so that I didn't feel rushed or stressed or overwhelmed, which are big triggers for my anxiety. And getting a real connection with my inner self as well, reconnecting with me and what I need and what I want and what drives me and what my values are, to give you that real sense of identity that is really helpful, I think, in anxiety. Uncertainty is a big trigger, again, for my anxiety. And I don't think I really realised how big a part that was playing in how anxious I was feeling.
I'd be really interested to know if anybody watching tonight, if any of that's resonating with them. Even though I'm not a mum, I have experienced a lot of what you're talking about, just for purely different reasons. I know my triggers. I battled with anxiety actually for 15 years. So I totally hear what you're saying. Never considered essential oils and aromatherapy for it. Totally putting that into my toolbox now as an option. And I'd love to know if any of you out there are currently living, lots of hearts and thumbs coming through. Mary, as Sanalance just said, love this. I know, right, Mary, such a great conversation to have. What are your coping skills for dealing with anxiety? Anybody watching tonight, if you are suffering from stress, I think this is resonating with a number of people. Hypnosis Auckland has just said, should we only use certified organic essential oils?
When I recommend essential oils to mums, so I'm a life coach now, obviously, having trained, and I work around a package of the coaching and the oils, because the oils can really help mums week to week, with what's going on. And I discovered that wild orange works really well. Anxiety is like a line of dominoes. And if you let that first domino fall, the rest just spiral and then you're into panic attacks.
So true.
So what I discovered is wild orange with the balance, for me, really stopped that first domino in its tracks.
Wow.
So again, a really powerful tool to just not spiraling down into a panic attack. And the oils that I use are doTERRA. They are 100% pure. They're certified to be pure, so they have an in-house testing and an external testing as well. They aren't certified organic. However, the company works with only growers that do not spray or, put anything horrible into the ground. So they're working really closely with that. And yes, I do. Oils. I recommend 100% to go with 100% pure, at the very least, organic. Again, just because you don't want to inadvertently be putting chemicals into your body that are actually going to break down your body's own.
Of course.
Abilities to,
That's right, and be one more problem. I've noticed that. So, the difference between a good oil, and I won't put brands out there, because I've used a few good oils, and not, is a headache.
Same with me. I'm really smell sensitive.
And a good oil just it gets in and it soothes and it nourishes and it does the job. And an oil, I think we've all been tempted. That is just cheap and yay, it's orange. Woo, I like orange. I've got a headache.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. Wow,
and
that's incredible.
Hit and miss in terms of I've again have used oils for a long time as well. And lavender would help me sleep sometimes and not other times. And I think it is because,
that's amazing.
Bad oil.
Carla Jenkinson just said, absolutely, essential oils are my happy place. And that's part of what the Essential Mum blog is all about. It's about finding your happiness. Raj has just asked, can you be more specific about the oils? Well, I think what we need to do is post some content maybe on the My Remedy site from Carla about...
From Claire.
From Claire. Carla, I've just seen Carla in the newsfeed. From Claire about the effects of those. In fact, we're going to show you Claire's blog in just a second. Oh, first of all, we've got Claire's takeaways, which are make a behavioural change, take some walks in the fresh air, meditate, learn tools to shift quickly out of overwhelm, redesign your schedule. These are key important points she wants you to know. Identify what you believe is important. Oh, pardon my typo there. Become friends with your fears. I loved that point, Claire. Understand and acknowledge why you put pressure on yourself. Take steps to change. Set goals on how to live differently. Design a life where you are living on purpose. And finally, here is a link to Claire's blog, The Essential Mum, essentialmum.net. You can find more information. I'm assuming there's lots about the essential oils on there as well. And so those actual takeaways from Claire are, in fact, tools she put into place with her own journey to find her way back to happiness, and that's why we really wanted to share those with you. Katie English finally has just said, would this be the same for chronic hyperventilation syndrome? So the effects of stress and anxiety, is it the same with something like the orange? You mentioned the orange prevents wild orange, prevents that first domino from knocking over.
Yeah, and I think breathing is really important, because one of the things that I do, obviously, when I'm starting to feel anxious, is hyperventilate. I start breathing into my chest and not getting enough oxygen into my body. I've started wearing a helo because it actually tells me when I'm starting to chest breathe, which is amazing. Wow, and, you know, our bodies are whispering to us all the time. And sometimes we're so caught up in whatever we're doing, which is probably our trigger for the anxiety, that we don't notice what our body is screaming at us.
Yes.
So, you know, this tells me when my heart rate starts to rise. It tells me when my breathing rate goes up. It actually tells you when you're anxious. It tracks your mood. So it's been really amazing for me, because it's actually, Claire, stop and breathe.
And
so breathing
oils.
Yeah, breathing
and there
oils.
are oils that will definitely support, obviously, the calming, which is going to help you to breathe more slowly, breathe more deeply, breathe into your belly. So I think there are oils that, and aromatherapy can be used rather than the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. It can be used as preventative. So running something that's going to actually calm you and
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, Claire, thanks for joining us tonight here at Health Bites. It's great to have you on board. And again, you can find out more by heading to The Essential Mum, or is it essentialmum.net?
It's essentialmum.net.
Excellent. So find out more on that blog site. Now, also, if you are based here in Auckland and you decide that you may want to see a professional, there are students who are currently learning to become professional naturopaths, registered naturopaths, and they're all training currently out at the Power Clinic at the South Pacific College of Natural Medicine, and we love them being part of the show. In fact, we're going to show you a little bit behind the scenes at the Power Clinic and what they can do for you. Let's take a look right now.
Welcome to Power Clinic. I'm Robin Carruthers, the Clinic Director. The Power Clinic is a student clinic at the South Pacific College of Natural Medicine. We've got two main functions here. One is to give our students a really good educational experience. They're the ones who staff the clinic, and they are supervised by experienced practitioners, naturopaths and medical herbalists. Our other role, which is more important, is to provide the community with affordable natural health care. So we have free visits for under 6-year-old children and for people over 65, and our other adult normal fees are heavily subsidised. We see a whole range of people here at Power Clinic, people who've got just minor health complaints, who want to look at a wellness plan, right through to people who are on a range of medications and have quite serious health conditions. A lot of people think with natural health care that if you're taking medications you can't go to a naturopath, but in fact we're very careful to take that into account and to work around it and support people while they are taking medications that they need to take. So if this sounds like it might be of interest to you, please give us a call and we'll look forward to seeing you and to helping you on your health journey.
Well, now it's time to focus on men. We love men here at the show, and we are really concerned that men aren't talking enough about their health, and we want to help support them because, unfortunately, more men are getting stressed. And you don't hear about it. You said this in one of our earlier episodes. We don't hear about it until they're just about on the table having a cardiac arrest.
Absolutely.
Too much stress is going on for the men in our lives. So we have our one-man panel on the couch today. This is Mike Ayres from My Remedy. Hey, Mike.
Hi,
good to have you back.
Nice to have you. Thank you for having me back on.
What's going on with men?
Well, lots really. You know, it's interesting what we've been talking about. I've been sitting here listening, and what I realised is that when men come to see us, they're stressed to the max, but they haven't presented for stress. You know, it'll be the high blood pressure, or the doctors told them their cholesterol's way out of whack, or they're really fatigued. I think that would be the main one, or they're not sleeping. And it's not until we really get talking for a while and ask them about stress, and then they're like, oh, I'm so stressed, and then it all comes out.
Right, so the stress has been often the trigger for the health.
And and usually for quite some time. They'll have been a long time of stress.
And they haven't made that connection, have they? They think, I've got high cholesterol, I caught it last week when my doctor told me I had it.
I shouldn't laugh, but
they haven't made the connection.
Just wow. So I think it's a very pertinent question, and you brought in the listener this week, right?
Yes, we just saw this. This was last week, so totally topical for what we've been talking about.
Depression. What is the title there?
Work blues, job stress breakthrough. So it's more aimed at depression, but also anxiety. But the stress is really the cause of the depression. And what's cool about it is that they're really talking about the changing attitudes, and that employers are noticing stress and the effects that it's having, and reduced productivity and worker turnover and all these things, and they're actually putting programs in place to help people and have people come out and talk in a safe way. Because one of the really interesting things in that article, I thought, was that only 20% of people are willing to talk to their employer about their stress and if they're struggling with mental health.
Is that because of the judgment?
I think so. It's the stigma that or the perceived stigma around it, even though employers, by their surveys, have said they want their employees to talk to them about it.
Wow.
So there's a bit of a disconnect. So it's really cool. We're moving in a good direction, I think.
We're getting more sensitive.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I did a bit of research recently, and I actually found an article on the Forbes website which highlighted the top 10 stresses for men in their lives that can affect, or may affect, I should say, affect or contribute to their health. So we've got the top 10 stresses coming up for you right now. Let's take a look. Top 10 stresses. Number 10 was financial security for men. 9 was their image. Number 8 was silence and getting the cold shoulder from a significant other. Oh, yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, number 7.
I was wondering what the sign
I know,
was.
right? Number 7 was actually silly conversations, because ain't nobody got time for that.
That's my husband's biggest stress.
Number 6 was relationships. So that's a big stress. Number 5, their deadlines. Number 4, dominance or being disrespected, particularly in the workplace. Number 3 was office politics. Number 2 was intimacy issues. And number 1, the biggest stress for men, was their health, Mike.
That's interesting.
Wow, but in my opinion, from what we've just spoken about, don't all of those stresses contribute to the picture of health you're seeing when people come into the clinic?
Definitely. And it's interesting that health is number 1, because so we're really stressed about our health, and probably in that I imagine it's weight and fitness and mental health and sleep are all probably encompassed in that word health. But we're not seeking help. So,
because as long as you can get out of bed and do your job, you must be okay.
So it's normalising.
Yeah. Just because everyone else is like that, so therefore it's probably no problem. I'm just another normal person.
Gotcha.
I think the other takeaway is that so many of those things on the top 10 are either work or the home.
That's what I noticed as well. Wow, so it really is quite significant that work and home, it's the nurture side, it's the environment side that's really affecting stress and wellness. And, you know, as you've mentioned before, Lynette, long-term stress over a period of time may contribute to the effects of anxiety or to depression. I mean, this is one of the things we've talked about. Is this becoming more common as well, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. And one of the things I really wanted to let people know tonight is that even though what we see in clinic is that stress has been for such a long time, and they have these other health concerns, if it's blood pressure or cholesterol or weight management, but just by intervening on stress, we see really quick results. It's so cool to see people come back within 3 or 4 weeks and they're almost a different person walking in the door.
Seriously? So sometimes when you're working with somebody, because we were talking pre-show about your wellness being like these layers of an onion, right? So sometimes you might highlight the outer layer of that onion, you peel that away, and then you're getting down to the next core layer and the next core layer until you help them find their way back down the ladder of health to being optimal living. Is that what you're experiencing?
Yeah, so I think by going directly to stress tends to be further into the onion for quite a lot of people. And all those other symptoms
hanging off it.
Yeah, are covering it up.
Wow, that is truly amazing, and a good conversation to have, considering that's what tonight's topic is about.
And is it the old stiff upper lip as well? You know, you're the man, you're meant to be taking care of the chickens in your brood, and you can't look weak because you've got to hold it all together. And there is, I think historically quite a lot of pressure on that. The kind of the cool thing about maybe your generation, I sound so old, is that we are at least starting to come together and work as a team, you know, so that we're starting to share the stress a little bit, but I think the onus still feels that it falls very strongly on the man.
And what's different now is that, you know, our world today here in Auckland, and well, most of New Zealand probably, is that the reality is both partners have to work to make it happen.
Of course, yes.
So that's just, you know, we're all doing so much more than we probably used to be, and we're all trying to share everything. We're trying to share, I'm talking couples and families here mostly, but we're sharing responsibility for making the income, but then also for everything in the home as well. And that leads to the little ones in daycare, who get sick all the time.
Who's going to stay home?
Yeah.
Your job, my job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask then, because I'm getting lots of messages coming in through the different feeds tonight, a question. How do you then fix it, and how do you get men to open up and start talking? Because I know there's a lot of you, we've got a lot of women watching tonight asking me this question. Right. How do you fix men?
Well, you know, there's the resources out there, and getting to them, I guess, is the challenge. You know, there's folks like Claire, there's male life coaches as well for men, you know, but Claire's a good place to go. Naturopaths can help. GPs a lot of men have seen their GP for a long period of time. They're pretty comfortable talking to them. Counsellors, there's lots of resources out there. The parenting place is awesome. Free seminars.
And
they do men's breakfasts.
Maybe, you know, if you have a man in your life and he seems stressed, then, you know, take the reins and take him somewhere for some help. Let him know that, hey, we all get stressed. Let's go and do something about it.
And men need to help men as well. So if you see your friends struggling, you know, don't just walk away and leave them because they're boring and just hanging out with their kids all the time. You know, get them to do stuff. You know, I think guys, we're not so good about sitting around and having a chat. But we're doers. We like to do stuff. Yeah. So call up your mate who's struggling and get them to play a game of tennis, go fishing, whatever it is that you've done in the past together, and do it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's such great wisdom. I love that. So for those of you who are watching, and I hope that's helped. It's a real eye opener. It's so nice to have a men's perspective. And a comment's just come in. Men don't talk to anyone about stress and mental problems because it's sissy for us to discuss. But this platform made me comfortable talking about it. Well, thank you so much. It's really awesome. That's what we're here to do. Actually, you've got a question come in as well.
I do. I had a couple of questions, and this is for you.
Okay.
So sometimes it's not so easy. I just can't quit my job.
Right. So
that's a great question
from someone who was not enjoying their job.
Yeah. So this person has quite a lot of stress from their job, but they need their job to pay the bills. What are they going to do?
So, I think so long as the job is tolerable, you know, the nutrients and herbs that we can offer as naturopaths and herbalists can really help. You know, we can increase the people's ability to cope with stress, or maybe it's talk to a life coach and find those ways to find your joy in your life.
Get some skills, eh?
Fill your toolbox.
So the naturopathy and the condensed nutrients, which is what you like to call them, can support that stress and that anxiety.
Yeah, one of the things when I was working full-time in an office-type job was I would finish work, and instead of going and sit in traffic for an hour and a half, I went down to the YMCA pool that was down the street, and I would swim and sit in the sauna for just 20 minutes. But then by the time I'd done that, the traffic had died down. I only got home like 20 minutes later than I normally would have, and I was totally calm.
That is a great idea.
That's a great tip. I really, really like that. Now, Hypnosis Auckland just messaged in and said many people don't realise that stress causes cortisol and leads to weight gain. Would you agree?
Definitely, yes. I think the science really shows that weight gain is more hormonally related than calories in, calories out, and a lack of exercise. Definitely.
Because a lot of these people don't actually eat all that much either, do they? They're eating on the run, and they're eating, you know, not very much and probably not very good. So it's not always energy in and energy out when you're in a stressful situation.
So true. Now, I know last time you were here, Mike, you're the team man.
Yeah.
You are the team man, and you made kawa tea last time we were here to help calm everybody down. But I believe there's some other teas that are actually available in your supermarket, your health food store, available to help, because you've just been talking about hormonal balances as well and the effects of that on stress. You've got the Artemis PMT Ease tea, which is delicious. I have some in my cupboard. You've got Rest and Relax tea over there from Purity. You've got Sleep Well tea, which is amazing, and the De-Stress tea. Are these a go-to, Mike, in your professional opinion?
Definitely. I drink them every day, several times a day.
He does.
Definitely, definitely in the evening to help wind down. The cool thing about the herbs that help de-stress, just to tie it into what we were talking about before, is they tend to be plants high in essential oils. So you're actually consuming a very, very low dose of what if you use essential oils topically.
Wow.
So they tend to be similar type plants and similar compounds.
Wow. Well, I have just been given the warning that we're now 56 minutes into broadcasting from Pete, our producer.
Oops, sorry, Pete.
It's supposed to be a 30-minute show tonight, so sorry we've gone over time, but it's such a valuable conversation to have. We do thank you all for being part of the newsfeed. We do have to head away. Thank you for your questions, your conversations, and please, we do continue to be part of the show. We have an official Health Bites Facebook group, so let's continue the conversation in that group. All you need to do is have a look for Health Bites and that's your place to send us your questions. We want to know what you want to see, and remember, share the show and talk about the partners involved. If something resonated with Claire tonight, remember essentialmum.net, or if you want to learn more about Mike or Lynette, you can find out more on the official My Remedy website, myremedy.co.nz. But Claire, come on over a little bit closer. So it is time for us to all head away. Thank you so much from wherever you're watching in the world. Katie Taylor said, good to see you, Claire, Emily Williamson and Lynette. Katie Taylor, good for you to be on the stream. And remember, please share this show. We are here to help you find your way to an optimal, healthy, fabulous, fun lifestyle. And if that comes through working with a naturopath, whether it comes through working with a life coach, your GP, or if it's taking some condensed nutrients to find your way back to an optimal lifestyle, that's what Health Bites is all about, having that conversation and helping you own your health. Claire, thank you. Mike, thank you. Lynette, a pleasure as always. Thanks for bringing everyone together. I'm Annette Bradley for YourFixTV. Thank you for watching. A big shout out to the Power Clinic. We love having you guys involved. There's the contact details from My Remedy, so if you want to get on, head to the website, book a Skype call if you're out of Auckland, or give them a bell. They love to hear from you. And a big thank you to our chief sponsor, the South Pacific College of Natural Medicine. We love you guys, and we love you being part of the show. Time for us to head away. Thanks for watching. Ka kite anō, e noho rā. See you next time. Thank you. Bye.